Emily, welcome to the podcast.
Hello, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. You and I go back and forth on Instagram, and I love chatting with you. And I finally threw it out like, can we just please put you on the podcast? And I think it took a little bit of convincing. And I'm
Yeah.
so glad you're here because after reading your story, I think the first thing that comes to my mind is I just turned 60. If it's okay because you talked
Yeah.
about your age, you're 69, and I think a lot of us as older retailers or older consultants or anybody that's in the industry often is asked, what is the exit plan? And it's interesting to read your
Oh,
bio on how you have gone through the industry and now your exit plan. So I'm really excited for our listeners to hear this because so many of us are of this age and so many of us I think are asking like, what is our exit plan? So
right.
before we go any further, why don't you tell everyone a little bit about yourself?
Okay, I'm 69, like you said. I live 3 miles from a town of 154 people up in the northern Sierras of California. I'm originally from Palo Alto in the Bay Area, so complete opposites there. I started my business in my laundry room. I actually used to have a leather business. I used to make leather handbags and
Hmm.
sell those to stores. But then we moved up here and it's like, oh, that's kind of tough. And so at that time we were doing the craft fair thing, which I would never ever do again. So much work for little money. But I was selling the handbags that way after we moved here. And then that kind of was, things have trends and have timelines. And so at that point, I was I loved studying herbs and flowers and more herbs, medicinal somewhat, cosmetic herbs a lot, and then herbal crafts. So I started bringing the herb crafts into our booth. And I made like herbal jellies and vinegars and little wreaths and whatever. So we did that for a little while. I also did some contract sewing. And then there was a little store that opened up in this little cabin next to a hotel a couple miles away. And there
Wait,
were,
a hotel for a town that only has 154 people in it.
this little town has less people, but
Okay.
it's on a main highway to a big lake and actually on the
Okay.
lake on the way to Lassen Park.
Okay. I was
So
like, what? All right,
yeah.
keep
And
going.
so there was, I think, 10 or 12 of us. We each had a craft we made in there, and we had to work a few days a month. And I think I started out with a scented hot pad. I mean, I look back now and I laugh, but that was the starting point. And then one day the sales rep came by. Her name was Joan McLean, the country collector. And she wanted to know if I wanted to host it. I'm like, sure, yeah. So she started writing orders for me. And then I started doing shows with her. We did the Beckman show. I don't know if you remember
Wow.
that. That's
Yeah.
before your time.
I
That's
never
way back,
attended it, but
right?
I remember it.
It was a great show, right? And I love doing the
That was
displays.
San Francisco, right?
No, it was LA.
Okay, LA.
And so we started doing that. I started getting orders. At one point, I had a little route where I would take stuff around and pay girls piecework to do like glue gun work or tie bows and stuff, whatever. And then once you're at trade shows, like other sales reps want something that nobody else has, right? So it wasn't long that I had other sales reps and I was in showrooms and, we started doing a lot of stores and then that kind of morphed into then I started doing a lot of fabric stuff. There's a whole history behind that, but and I started making like the microwavables for spas and hotel spas, and they always have a gift shop too, right? And so then I had reps that were getting me into, like I did a big long run with the Pebble Beach Resorts and Ritz Carlton and Fairmont, stuff like that. So we did that, and then all of a sudden I got into big volume. Like it kind of, my very first big volume order was I did stuff for the wedding channel. And I did like
Wow.
wedding ring pillows and little flower girl baskets and this was just a sewing gig. And oh, and by this time I had moved into a building and I had
So
employees.
what's the date of this? Is this 1981? No.
Well, so in 1981 I'm just doing craft fairs. I'm not really a
Okay.
legitimate business.
So
I'm
what,
not really a legitimate business till later, but I have my name then.
which were you, what year is this when you blew up and it became,
Oh, when it became big, that's probably early 2000s. I'm probably doing more hotel stuff in early 2000s. By about 2005, we start getting the big volume. And so the first big volume order was 20,000 silk camera bags for the weddingchannel.com.
oh my God.
And I'm like, wow, because it's so monotonous work, right? It's just, I have a couple seamstresses and I learned from the very first job that I had how to do a production line, right? So I had these little wooden racks built. I still have those today, as a matter of fact, with wheels on them. And it starts at the person that cuts the fabric, then the person that sews it. Somebody turns it inside out and irons it. Somebody sticks the little cording through, and somebody's packaging it. You have this whole assembly line, right? And then we started getting into, this is probably before your time too, was Red Envelope. It was
Oh,
this wonderful national mail order catalog,
yes,
super high end, beautiful stuff, right?
yes.
And so I don't really remember how I fell into this. I mean, it was through I was in at the Ann Macy showroom in San Francisco at the gift center there. That's where all my big volume stuff came from her. And so, and I don't even remember what we did first for them. Somehow I got in and I did a product for them. Oh, I think it was, actually they bought my product. It was the deluxe foot bag. And it had everything for your feet. It had like a microwavable foot pillow. It had a foot scrub, a foot soak, a foot butter, a little foot brush. I mean, I realized at one point there was 27 different vendors it took to make this product,
Wow.
which is ridiculous. Like, right? Like, what was I thinking? But they ordered like 10,000 of them. And so then I had seven girls. And if you ask any of those people today about working during that time, they will all say it's the best job they ever had.
I love
Because once I finally got seven women that all worked together and got along, we're like a family.
it.
Like in the summertime, there's a little community pool, and they have water aerobics a couple days a week. And we would stop at 1 o'clock on those days, and we'd all go down to the pool and do water aerobics for an hour. And then we would come back and finish work for the
What
day.
a great job. Wow.
I know. And then we have one gal who like played the fiddle since she was 3. She was a seamstress and sings this beautiful voice. She's still a musician now. And she'd be singing while sewing, and we'd be singing. And what are you guys making for dinner tonight? And I mean, we just had a great time at Christmas time. We decorate the whole town. Like
Oh,
we put greens everywhere and poinsettias in the flower. I mean, it was really good times. And meanwhile, we're just this fine oiled machine because I had all of this experience on how to run a thing like that, right?
yeah.
And so we just pumped out the product, and the people in town were like, "What is going on over there?" As they see semi trucks pull up, and there's all these pallets out front, right? It was crazy. But then that just got to be too much. Like you can only design a new line like twice a year at Showtime, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of times I would have some of the same things like the spa soap, but I'd change all my fabrics. Or I mean I'd change it up and I'd add new stuff. But that was the only time I could be creative. And that was just not fun for me.
Was the line M's Garden then?
Emily's Garden.
Why do I remember this from my days of, because I
Because
would,
I'm wondering if it was sales producers I might have been in LA. To tell you the truth, I can't remember the name of it.
I'll have to ask Bonnie, but I know that, like, from back in the day when the LA Mart was the shit, like everyone,
Right.
the whole building was full, and it's so sad
Right.
still
It
to
was so great.
I mean, or like if you remember the days of the convention center
Well,
and
and Moscone,
yes,
well, in San
in San
Francisco, when you had the
Francisco.
concourse.
Yeah, I mean, all the I think about that as far as West Coast trade, and it's so different. But I was shopping. My old boss, Michael Campbell from Fred Siegel, would take me to the show, and it was right around that area in San Francisco. And we'd always do the loops. We'd do Filamento. We'd do all the
Right.
stores, and for some reason, like like what you're talking about, what you made, and like the fabric wrap. So I'm sitting here right now, like racking my brain. Like I feel like I ordered it from my store, like
Well, what was the name of your store?
Fred Siegel Environment.
God, it all runs together. But I will say, when I was in San Francisco, like he's going to kill me if I say this, but I was kind of the showroom manager's pet, right? Like he loved my line. So
Nice.
I'm the one, and my line was great to display because unfortunately, in hindsight, I made way too many products, right? And I had sort of had this formula with what worked, and as long as I repeated that formula every year, I could be successful, right? So I was always the main draw, the double doors that open, my displays there. Like I'm the one to get you in the
Ah,
showroom.
front and forward.
Yeah. And so, and what's so funny is doing trade shows, like I'd be so freaked out, right? I'd spend weeks, making the line. I'd make a, mock-up display of it. And then I would just freak out at showtime, like, oh my God, what if I don't get any orders? Like, what if I don't have enough to pay? Oh, I have all this money into it. What am I going to do? And I'd be totally freaked out. And then it takes a couple, and then everything would come in a fax machine, right? And so then it would come till a couple days afterwards and get the fax. And like the fax machine would start running and not stop. And I'd
Ah.
be like, oh my God, watch
I
what you
think
wish for. It
I think a
would
lot
just
of
be
people go through
incredible.
that fear of, because it's so personal, it's yours. And it's
Oh,
like you're putting out something that is yours, that is, and
exactly.
I can imagine the nervousness of each show because I have that just with the displays we're doing of like
Right,
the night before, I'm like, I know everyone's coming in, they're going to walk through and they're going to look at it all. I always get this like, oh God, what if they don't like? I mean, still, I mean, it's
right,
because your line sounds like the very beginnings of where Warmies started, where it's
right,
microwavable.
right,
And Warmies was the one, this show for me was a brand new vendor. It was the only vendor I hadn't talked to and met. And each time I walked through the space to see if someone was there from the company, they weren't there. It was just like this nerve of like, God, I hope they like it. And
Oh,
everyone
I
seemed
know.
to love it. But I was like, I haven't heard. And I,
Well, that makes me feel so much better that I'm not the only one who's going through
it's
that.
very normal.
Right. So anyway, so then let's see, where were we? So then comes the crash, right? And all of a sudden, we're not getting any orders. Like everything is just stopped. And at that same time, I get divorced. My mom dies. This all happens in a year. And I'm just like, I can't do it anymore. I just can't do it anymore. Now, meanwhile, like even when I was a little girl, if you asked me what I wanted to be when I grew up when I was a little girl, I want to have a job where I just make presents for everybody. And I made all my own birthday presents and Christmas presents. And so I always had this dream store in the back of my mind, right? But I got so entangled in wholesale, like there's no way out, really. All these people are depending on you, your employees, the stores, everybody, reps,
Yeah.
everybody. And so then that happens, and I'm not feeling good, and the divorce is super hard on me, and so I'm driving through Quincy one day, and I see this Forenza, and I'm just like, there's a universe answering to me, right? There it is. It's right there. And it
Mm.
took me 2 days to decide I'm done. And I wasn't done completely, but I was like, I'm done with that whole thing. Like maybe I'll still, I mean, orders aren't coming in. I can handle myself whatever comes in. So I wanted to do the store. And so I did. And
And
I loved it. I mean, like I put myself in 150% into everything, right? Unfortunately, I have myself into a lot. I have a lot of passions. It's probably why I'm not married. Um, but so I went, head first, and I loved that store, and you could feel the love.
uh,
And I
I,
think that's a big part of being successful.
yeah, well, yes, having where you get up every morning, you can't wait to go to work, where you
Right,
get up and you dream about what you're going to do and you're so excited. That is absolutely what it's all about as far as doing something you love and being content in it and being so happy. And that
right.
I think that you know it's interesting listening to like and reading how big you got, which I have to go back and really fast is like you had said you learned mass production from a previous job. What did you do before all of this?
So when I graduated high school, I went and got a job at a startup company called Tread 2. I was one of the first, they hired like 10 people ground up, right? That was the beginning. And we resold athletic shoes under a sponsorship from Adidas.
Oh,
And everything was in a department. You had shoes on a rack with wheels on it, and you started in one spot, and the guy pulled I was a seamstress there. I sewed my whole life. Like I made all my own clothes in high school and all that. So I was a
wow.
seamstress, though I had never worked on a leather machine. And so the next step was to go, if they had holes, you would patch that, right? And then it got the bottoms and soles got grounded. You're on a grinding machine. I mean, it had all these different, steps. And after a while, I'm really good with my hands. So I was kind of the floater. Wherever there was a backlog, I'd go helping that person. I just, whatever. So I understood that concept. And the funny thing about this, I just want to throw this in there because this is way back when, right? And so the president was Rory First. He now owns Keen Shoes. And the vice president, who's married to Rory's sister, was Pat Connolly, and he became president of Williams Sonoma.
Wow.
So that's just kind of a great story in itself. And then my brother's a shoe designer. He's done tons of work with him over the years in this thing. So anyway, we all kind of come from that.
What a
And then I have a tremendous amount on like when I said the formula thing. So my mom was an interior designer. I mean, the most talented person you will ever meet in your entire
Is
life.
that where
Like,
you learned to sew?
no, I learned to sew in school. Well, a little bit with her, but she could see, I mean, so she would go up to the design center in San Francisco once a week and she would come back with all of, this is when I'm in high school, what I remember this from. And she would come back with all her samples. She'd have fabrics and carpet samples and paint swatches, and she would come and lay it out all over the kitchen table. And then she would grab some of this and some of that. How does that look together? No, I don't like that. How about this? And each time she did that, she would explain to me why that worked and why that didn't work. And
Wow.
it might be because I want, like, she really instilled the three things like texture, you want smooth, medium, and rough. Color, you want light, medium, and dark. Like, nothing worse than a matchy bedroom set, right? You want that flow. And you're dealing with that in your displays. Like, I see it all the time how you do it, right? Color, light and dark, you've got all those plays that add depth to something. And so I would do that when I would go to pick, like my formula was my family lived down in Palo Alto, and I would go down there like for Christmas, and I would go to Stanford Shopping Center, which is just a phenomenal shopping center. I don't know if you've ever been there. And
Mm-mm.
I would just walk around and feel the trend. I would get a feel for like what are the stores doing, and my whole approach was I don't want to compete with what's there. What can I make that look that is complementary? Like I look good on the same shelf, right?
Yeah.
And so then after that, I would go to the International Textile Show. And so I'd be grabbing and I would get samples of fabric. And I do the same thing. I would like, okay, how's this fabric with that? And I'm totally into like art papers. I used to go to Flax in San Francisco and get all the incredible, I have still a great stash of that. And ribbons and like all these different elements, right? Because it's the elements that create that feeling, right? And I still don't know what I'm going to make out of it. Even to this day, I just did a new thing for the little store I have stuff in. And so I've got my pile. I work my pile. I did wedding design for a while. Same thing, the pile there. Same thing with landscape design, interior. It's all the same, right? You're
Yeah.
you're working
Well,
these elements.
not yet. It's not all the same, but it is all the same.
Yeah, you know what I mean? You're
Yeah.
still working the elements that make that vision, that feel you're trying to do. Like it takes those things, right? And then once I've thrown out this and thrown out that, and this is the one I'm keep, then I decide what I'm going to make out of it. Like this is going to go to that product. This is here. I'm going to use that, and then it just kept working, right? And then I put the manufacturing's thing, and then also something else. My very first year in business, I went to this symposium at Moscone Center in San Francisco, and there was all these breakout groups, and there's a couple that really stood out. So one was by Paul Hawken, who had just written a book called Growing a Business. And I ended up doing a few year stunt with Smith and Hawken, had 300 stores and blah, blah, blah. But his whole thing was a psychological approach. Like you and I were just talking about how you love it. Like
Yeah.
that's the business you should be in is what comes from your heart, right? Who
Yeah.
you are. That's
Is
that's
that
your identity.
is that
And I
book
feel like a
still
lot of
in
stores can
production?
lose that along the way. Pardon me?
Is that book still in production?
I have no idea because that was old. It's
What's it called
really good.
again?
Paul Hawken, and it's called Grow Your Own Business, I think, or Grow a Business, Grow Your Own Business, I think.
Sorry.
Really cool. And then another one was a guy talking about McDonald's. And this is what I really learned in my production. He goes, you can have a hamburger joint where there's one guy who runs the whole thing. He's the cook, he's at the counter, and he's married to that job, right? He's got to be there 24 hours, every 7 days a week. And then there's McDonald's. He was that guy, but he figured out a system of each step that made that burger. And as long as he put a position in each step, he could reproduce it over and over everywhere. So that's how I got the thing on that,
Mm.
production line. And then there was another guy, and there was just these three things that always stuck with me. And he said, even though I've taken classes on writing a business plan, he said, here's your business plan. Take out 3 pieces of paper. One, write down everything about your product or service, all about who you are, what it is. And on the next one, write everything about how you're going to market it. And on your last one, everything about how you're going to finance it. And he said each one of these things is equally as important as the other. So you can have a great product and all the money to finance it, but you have no marketing and you're dead. Or you have two of the others. If you don't have all three, I mean, you just can't do it. They are equally as important. I think a lot of people do not realize that. So I tried to,
Yes.
I took all those pieces of learning and then put all that together, I guess.
Well, what I love is that, one, I mean, going back to the days of those shows where they had so much education,
Right.
I feel like as retailers, that I mean, Dallas does a really good job with the education process. I think Atlanta does too. Vegas, I wish did more educational, but to be able to walk away from an afternoon of learning and still carry it with you and still understand
Right,
the value of those properties
right,
is amazing.
right,
And it's like that just speaks volumes for what I feel like the gift show should start doing is more things like
right,
that, because that's like what you just said right now. We could end this podcast right now and people would walk away with so much, truly, just that. And it's that speaks volumes to how you carried your business and expanded it the way you did.
right, right.
That's amazing.
Now I'm also a gobbler of knowledge. Like I cannot learn enough. I'm always like when I had my store and I saw my website. My website doesn't bring a lot, and I don't really care that it does. It's kind of more for reference, but and I get orders from it. But anyway, that was always my fun money, and my fun money always goes to education. Like I'm always taking classes online and webinars, and like I just gobble it up.
What's your favorite seminar online class that you've done lately?
Oh, now it's all about floral design.
Okay.
So different. So that'd probably be Aurelia Cesar, I guess you would say. She's amazing. Um, and now actually I'm trying to get, I'm a mega gardener. That's my whole life, and biodiversity and letting wildlife in and just this whole nature thing. I'm trying to learn about permaculture right now.
I'm like right now, like my head is spinning. There's just so much I want to ask you. Okay, so let's go back to you decide you've said goodbye to your because it's the crash and obviously
Right,
it was a perfect time to step away
right,
and you open this little tiny store and you
right.
had said you weren't making any money and it didn't matter.
And it didn't matter. And it still doesn't. I still don't have any money. But my quality of life, like, oh my quality of life, I'm so rich in everything else.
I love it.
Like, I mean, you can't see where I'm at right now, but there's a almost 8,000 foot snow-capped mountain peak to the front. I'm at my neighbor's right now, but behind me, my property borders a valley, a huge valley that has mountain peaks all around it. There's cattle out there most of the year.
Love that.
We hike every day. I mean, I don't hike, I go for a walk in the woods. I love to forage. I've been foraging the whole time I've been here, and I make stuff with the stuff I forage. There's just beauty everywhere, and that my eyes are trained to see beauty. Like everywhere I look, well, a lot of times everywhere I look, I'm casing the place. I'm like, ooh, there's something I can get. Oh, I got to remember to go back and harvest that, or I want to grow more native plants, so I'm looking for places to get native seeds off of wildflowers. I mean, brain's always spinning. And then it's a small town community. So small, and that's why my approach to my retail store is so different from everybody else because I'm in a small town and the people are different.
Okay, so the town that you're in right now, is that like how many people are in this population of 5,000?
Well, that's where my store was. That's 20 minutes away from me.
Okay. How
That's
many people are in
Quincy,
your town where you live now?
154.
That is insane. I moved from California to Oregon and I'm like, Medford, it's busy, but it still feels like I live in this tiny town with nothing. And I hear that and it's like, God damn, that is nothing.
But the people are so great. Like we're hippies and rednecks here, right? And there's a huge political divide.
Oh,
But we like give us a disaster, we are all over it. We're like the people of Minneapolis. That's what we're like. We're like the people of Minneapolis. Like we are always caring. Like somebody has cancer. Oh my gosh, there's gobs of food, been taken over. Or like the ranch behind me years ago, the ranch manager was out there, and they're cowboys on horses, and his horse hits a gopher hole and he falls down and the horse is on top of him, and
oh,
he's in a coma for months. He's in the hospital for a year, and he's a paraplegic, and not one single phone call went out, not one. And every single rancher around that valley came and did his branding, his roundup, everything, and just because that's what you
wow.
do here, right?
Wow. I think, with where I said like the exit plan and I don't know how many people could step away from a very busy business and then open up, but to hear you talk about quality of life and how rich you are with your life there and how much slower it is, I think a lot of people in the retail race and the retail just machine
Right.
probably are hearing this and being like, "Oh my God." But did you ever, because I find myself like right now, I'm just a few days, a day and a half home from Las Vegas, and I have been going since October when we started installing
All
Christmas
right.
farms. And it went from October to Atlanta to Dallas, home for 7 days, drive to Vegas, and then
It's a nightmare.
it was a nightmare, but I also loved it.
But
And
you love it. It keeps you going. You're on that
run
wheel.
on adrenaline. I'm an
Right.
adrenaline junkie. But what I realize is that when it all stops, so right now I have a stack of things I need to get to, but my schedule goes from, and my friend Susan, who does Shelf Talk with me, we go back and forth on this because you go from this frenetic, like crazy, you don't like, there's no such thing as sitting down and eating lunch. There's no days off. Like you just go. And there's something we all like thrive by, but you take it all away. And often there's this weird, I say weird because I still can't put my thumb on it, but there is a depression along with it that it's not that you don't have a purpose, but all of a sudden it's like everything comes to a crashing stop. And like, what do I
Like,
do?
who are you now?
How do I fill my days? And I'm learning that myself of having that balance. And when we moved here, this is why. It was because I said I want more balance and I want, if I'm going to live on a job site for a month, I want to be home and be present. Well, guess what? I'm present and I'm fucking bored. I have to figure out my
Right.
what that looks like. But you went from really busy and really on like how
But that was a whole creative aspect because I like to make things. I love to make things. It's my favorite, and I make all kinds of things. And so then I had the opportunity to do that. Like this is why I asked you if I could name brands. So from day one, I had Michelle Design Works,
Oh my
right?
God. Oh my
And
God. That is
yeah,
crazy because we just got done doing that job.
I know it. I know it. And so my whole thing about my store is it's all about packaging, right? It's all about the graphics. And it's not just the product, it's the display, it's the window, it's outside in front of the store, it's the whole thing, right? And so I'm always looking for the graphics, right? Give me some beautiful graphics. But the thing with Michelle Design Works, which I learned, and it was a great line, was you can also order too much and it's a lot of pattern in your face.
Yeah.
And so for me, it's like, okay, that's too much pattern. So what can I make to complement that? Okay, so I think like maybe let's say I bought the lavender rosemary part. Okay. So then I'm going to do my own lavender lotion because I make that. But I'm going to make mine a solid colored label that picks out that color that I'm only seeing a little bit in their packaging, right? Now, when I put that on the shelf, I've toned it down a little bit. I might swoosh a scarf, and that brings out another color in that. I might add a little floral, but yeah, I mean, you do the same
Good
thing
cross merchandising.
because it has to be toned down. But that's my thing in going to market is I look at how it is. So you're going to like I miss going to market so bad. I watch it and I was like, oh God, I wish I was there. Um, because you're like, oh, up in the sixth floor is this, and down there now where was that? And I'm better at taking photos. But the whole time I'm also going, okay, so what can I make to go along with this? How can I put myself into this? Because that's what makes my store is what I put, my creativity into it. So that's super fun for me.
Well, just what you said is from the outside of the store to the window to inside, how important all those factors are in retail, because I think a lot of people forget about the outside. And I think even though people's windows, and this is something I talk about in the podcast, it's like the attention that is not given often to windows of like, check your windows. Are the lights out? Do you have dead flies in them? I
Oh, the
can't
dead
tell
fly
you
thing.
how many
Oh,
dead flies.
oh my God, why do they all go there?
Take a second. And I think that people don't realize it, how important those things are. And you're in this teeny tiny town. Like how many people do you get in your store a day, or the space that you're in now?
Well, so that's just it. That's why it was so difficult because we're kind of a dying main street. And
Mm.
that's because we had a big fire, burned half of a block down, and it's a whole nother story. But like fourth quarter, it's just crazy. Like to keep stuff stocked, like why can't every day be like that? And like winter, it's just dead. Like you could have a day where you get no customers. That's how bad it is. And so that's really hard. But on the window thing, like my windows aren't always for product. I like to say that a lot of the time, my window is my gift to the community.
I love
And so, like, I made paper. Well, first I got in from anthropology. I got into making giant paper flowers. I was just obsessed with giant. I mean, I had paper flowers all of it. Sometimes they're out on the sidewalk, these big giant things in a bucket, and then I always had them on sides of stuff in the window. And then I was like, I'm gonna make a paper wedding dress, right? And so then I kind of got into that. And actually that was horrible for the store. Like everybody absolutely loved it. Everybody would stop and look, but people who didn't live there would think I'm a wedding store, so they wouldn't come in. I mean, at
Oh.
one point I made a little sign saying I'm not a wedding store. I just like to make wedding dresses. But so that's my gift to the community. And I always had flowers out front. And in the last couple of years, I had a little bistro set, and there's little flowers or herbs and stuff around that. And so you're walking down the street with nothing, and then you're like, whoa, what's that? And again, it all looks loved, right? You feel the love. You open the door, and you're just like, my store is an emotional story. It grabs your emotion,
Mm,
right? Instantly. Like when I first started, it was, you go with the times. And myself, that's my style. It was very vintage. But I'm not going to say it. Some people would call it girly. I said, but I've never been frou-frou. I'm always understated. I would say it was more feminine and romantic. So
mm.
you would walk through the door and you would immediately soften, right? You would just like, oh, it's so pretty. And my opening day, I had two customers that came in on opening night and were crying. They
Oh,
were so moved emotionally.
the ultimate.
And I'm like, seriously? I didn't think I was going to do that. Like I just did what my heart desired, right? And so that's a difference in that. And then like at the same time, in a small community, small store, I had a wicker chair next to the cash register. And that was at a desk that I sat at. And it's like the beauty parlor. I'm like the therapist, right? People come in and just want to talk. And
Yeah.
they also become your best customers.
Mhm.
But like there's this whole, and I would never try to push a sale. Like I try to make a friend first.
Oh my God, you're speaking my language.
And so like I'm trying to train this place where I have my stuff. And I said, okay, here's how I want you to think about it. Remember, maybe you're even in elementary school or junior high, and you go to your friend's house after school, right? And you have all these different friends you go to. But there was that one friend whose mom was just like open arms, right? She
Mm.
was just made you feel so good, and she was so warm. She probably had cookies and milk, the whole thing. I said, be that. When
Mm.
your customer comes in, you're that.
Ugh.
You know what I mean?
I,
And then you have all this pretty and beauty everywhere. And I always had plants everywhere because that's my other point is you have to stay true to your identity.
yes.
And people do what I call chasing the rabbit, right? And so it's just like a restaurant. Like I think of this new restaurant we have, it's all organic food or those bowls. You can either have tofu or this and that, and mix and match. And business is slow because of our town, right? Or maybe it's how they do the outside. I don't know what the problem is. So then they decided to do breakfast. Well, that's not working. So they have breakfast with the other stuff. Now they're going to do pizzas.
Oh,
And same thing with stores. Like I would see stores just keep adding more and more and more until now we're a little mercantile. Now we sell a little bit of everything. Well,
yeah.
so does the next store down the street, and so does the next store. Like I don't want to stop in a town that's like that. After the second or third store, I'm not going into the next
Yeah.
one. I want to go into a town where first there's a jewelry store, and then there's a leather store, and then there's a pottery store. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
they just do that one thing and they do it really well. Now, granted, we can't really be that all the time. We do, we all have jewelry and candles and whatever, but you still have to make it who you are and not copy everybody,
Yeah.
which is really big right now.
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of people, it is grabbing for straws, but I think a lot of people don't, there's a lot of people that have come into the retail game that have never had a store or been in retail. And that's fine. I mean,
Right.
the fact that they're able to open their doors and like, excuse my dog's barking. The fact that you're able to open doors and not have any experience and do something that you love, and most of the time that's what it is. It's they're selling things that they love. And then, like most of us as retailers, for me as a buyer, I want every time you come into the store, or at least seasonally, like I want it to look and feel different. And we may sell
Right.
the same candle, but I want to reinvent it like
Exactly.
spring, it feels like it's in an orchard. Some
Right.
want to feel, but I think a lot of people that don't, I'm so sorry. the
It's
top.
so true. It's so true.
I think that a lot that people don't know how to reinvent.
Reinvent.
Like
Right.
and that has to truly come from within. Like, how am I going to do so often? And I think that I talk about all the time inspiration. I love that you talked about going into other stores and how can you take that and tweak it into your own, not copy it. But I think
Right.
that is an integral part of retail that I think a lot of people skip over because, like, I don't have time. I can't leave my store. I need to, there's every excuse of why you can't,
Right.
but there is every reason why you should. And to get out and see what other people are doing, not to copy it, but to get inspired. And
Right.
that's one thing I really miss about where I live now. Where I live has an aging downtown. When we're done recording this, I've been working with the Medford Downtown Business Association
Oh,
because
good.
we have a downtown that's historical, that there's nothing. There's like four actual retailers, and then everything else is this random.
This is like us.
I don't know how they're staying in business. It's the
I
most
know. This is
random.
like us too.
And I said to them, like, this downtown deserves to have like where you go with your girlfriends, like, let's go meet for lunch. We're going to walk down the street.
Right.
I miss that kind of retail experience because
Right.
we don't have it. And that's how I get inspired. And so when we were out and coming through different areas of California, I'm like, I need to go. I have my favorites, Rogers Gardens and,
Oh,
different
fun.
districts. But I think that that's a part of retail that a lot of people are missing that is so important, is to get out of where you are to see not only what other people are doing, but to get inspired. And how
Right.
can I take what I'm doing and stay true to who I am and tweak it and continue to kind of change it and morph it, because your regular customers want to see newness. I mean,
They want newness every day.
that's what keeps people, your regulars, coming back. I mean,
Right.
Lucy's is a restaurant, and they have gifts, and they, like right now they're going into busy season, so they've got Western Waste Management golf tournament, which is massive. And this is actually bigger numbers than Christmas they're doing. So even
Wow.
every person that goes in there is not going to know
Right.
the difference of what we did last week to
Right.
now. But I
Right.
still want our regulars to go in there and
Right.
find new things and see
Right.
how the store has evolved. And the tourist people will come and go. They love it.
Right.
They'll buy, but
Right.
really, it's really important for your regulars to see newness and get excited. And it may be the same things, but you've reinvented it.
Right. But I think like I think fair has a lot to do with it. I sort of have a love-hate relationship with fair. Um, I feel you remember like you would go to a show nearby you because again, everybody wants something that nobody else has, right?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, everybody in your town's going to the same show, so you go a little bit farther. So I'm in San Francisco now. I'm going to LA. Then I'm going to go to Vegas, or I'm going to go to Seattle, right? Because then they won't have it, right? Kind of thing. But with fair, everybody sees the same stuff. And
Mhm.
then they did that Top Shop thing. So, well, if it's Top Shop, well, of course. Well, then, but everybody's thinking that.
Yep.
So if you can get out to other towns and, like you said, and see how somebody else is merchandising, or I'll tell you what, there's so much value to going to a trade show. Like I just love to go for the displays,
I love that
or
you're saying
or
that.
or whose showroom is packed and who's empty. Like
Yes.
that's huge, right?
Yes.
So there's so much to learn there. And the temporaries, like cash and carry. Like there's a lot of cheap junk in cash and carry, but you can get some really good nuggets there. Like
Yeah.
I always go to Vegas with an empty suitcase,
Yeah.
and I come back with great stuff.
I shopped it a little bit, and my friend is the rep for Home Art, and for
I
those,
love home art.
oh my God, I love this line. And for those people who are listening that most of you don't come to the show early enough to see this, is that all the discontinues are often put in the hall with sample
Oh
sale signs or
man.
creative co-op, home art, like, so
Man.
and you can go and you can pick out whatever, and they need it to be gone. So they're like, just take all this for $150. So
Oh
I
my God.
Chris from Home Art, now I that was my first stop, is like stopping by his
I
show,
would too.
seeing what he has. I have so much crap. And every time I come home, I'm like, I got beautiful walnut cutting boards this time. I got a new poo.
Oh,
I got
oh,
rugs. I got some deer beds.
oh,
Like,
oh.
so I don't, this
So jealous.
going to temporaries hasn't. I still love walking it, but it has less of a draw now that I have a car full of samples
Well, yeah,
so often.
I would be too. But
Oh,
I love replica decor, and I'll shove my suitcase with all kinds of like the succulents and
oh,
props.
they're amazing.
And so here we are again. Like I'm just can't get it through to this store about how important props are. Display pieces and props. Like I took a bunch of my props in and I said I'm putting them in here till Christmas is done, and then I'm taking them home. And I took them home the other day, and they probably hate me for it, but too bad. I mean, like you spend years collecting those props, right? And
Yep.
I might use it for photography for something for my website, or I might do somebody else's something. But I'm not giving up my props. Like those are gold,
Well,
right?
you could be like anthropology anthro back before the president that's there now. It was a man named Glenn Sank and his partner, and they were the ones responsible for going to Europe and finding these amazing, big,
Yeah.
big found object pieces.
Right.
And Glenn said we're pricing them, to not sell. So if they do sell,
Right.
it is worth taking
Right.
the whole entire display down
Right.
to sell this cabinet for $10,000. And those props and the storytelling behind them are
Right.
what are so important, and trying to explain people again, no plastic risers, and using something that will tell the story that's either a found object or a prop, but all those things are so important to your storytelling and merchandise. But I think sometimes people get worried about the cost. And it's like, if you're worried about the cost and how much it costs you, then price it to not sell it. And if
Right.
it does sell, then it's
Right.
100% worth it. But it's like those things are so important to the display and the integrity of building a story.
Well, I enjoyed one of your stories. I don't know, it's been a while. I can't remember which story you were doing, but I did not know that Callaloo makes display pieces.
Yes.
Remember you did that when it was round, and then there's another round. I was like, oh man, that's a good one.
They're my favorite. They're one of my favorite places to get props now. Is it or
Oh,
fixturing, and their props
fixtures,
are
yeah.
amazing too. But their
Oh,
their plants are incredible. Their retail fixtures are amazing, and their I mean, we bought because I bought big scale straw cactuses, and I'm like, I don't know how they're going to do in a restaurant. They were the first things to sell, so I
oh,
knew
fun.
we had the dollar point, and we priced them like I didn't want to sell them, and they still all sold. So we were kind of adding on to this because I even get nervous with spending on big props like that because it's a fixture's one thing, the pretties
Right,
are
right,
another, and it's like I'm spending someone else's dollar, so I have to be
right,
cautious, but I know they're going to sell. So,
right.
that I'm excited, but that brand as a whole is one of my favorite resources.
But you would never get those ideas. I swear by this. You would never get all those ideas or how you did it all had you not gone to market. Like online, you don't get it. It just, for that kind of stuff, it just doesn't read well.
Yeah. And
Like you have to see it in person.
it's okay, so you touched on fair, and this is what you said was probably the best argument for not shopping fair. I love fair, and I love it because I can find stuff that brands that aren't big enough to hire a rep agency because they have
Yeah.
supply
Oh,
samples.
me too. Yeah.
So it's great for that, but what you said where it's like everybody's looking at the same product. It's everyone.
Right.
That alone, forget the not having zip code protection. Forget
Right.
all of that. The fact that you're seeing the same thing every single retailer seeing, and then add to it there's no zip code protection is a very valid reason for
Huge problem.
balancing the two of like,
Right.
and shows, what people don't understand is that by not going to shows and continuing to only resource through Spare, those shows are going to get smaller and smaller.
Right.
And those showrooms that have to pay for, Vegas is only open 2 times a year, two
I
times.
know it.
The cost that it costs
Oh
for
my God.
rent, for all the utilities, and then to hire professionals like myself and Susan and Fabian, like all of us, those are costs that are crazy. And
Right.
they are all for the retailer. And if people
Right.
stop going to shows and devaluing what the shows bring to your store, those
Right.
shows will go away. And then guess what? Then everything's online, and you completely lose the whole experience of what these shows and the displays and the energy and the products, like what that brings to your store.
That's wonderful. And let's not forget the road reps that are a part of those showrooms
Yeah.
because the thing is like I have some reps that I'm still really good friends with, right? And one of mine's up in Seattle, and she's 75, I think, right?
Wow.
And she does a lot of housewares now. She does Nordic wear and some other stuff. But anyway, when I first found out, like I started fair from the very beginning, and then all of a sudden one day I see like everybody who works there is like in their early 30s. Like there's no experience, right? And then I'm dealing with reps who've been doing it for 40 years or 30, 40 years, and like they can tell you what works and they can tell you what's down the street. And there's and same thing, and they work for these showrooms, so that all goes hand in hand. I mean, it's such a valuable, valuable asset.
I think that, what we had talked about it on the podcast, Susan and I, a while ago, is that, and I said this in the beginning, is that a lot of us are at an age where we are going to be aging out. Myself,
Right.
Susan's 50 something. She's got another 10, 20 years. But I think about who is the next generation, because there's not. Crystal, who used to work for me, is 40. She's the youngest person I know that's coming up behind the ranks of wanting to do
Wow.
displays and this merchandising, and that experiential display and storytelling. And the reps, same thing. It's like one of my reps, Pam from Ann McGilvery. She's older and she is still hands down one of the best reps we have, that shows up when she's supposed to show up,
Right.
calls, follows up. Mary from Ann McGilvery, same thing. These little tiny older ladies kick ass, and they show up when they're supposed to show up, and they go in your store and they do our inventory, and they do the work. And like, what happens when all of these people start to retire and age out?
It's not going to be good
The younger reps.
because the young people are way more interested in being online.
Yeah.
And they follow, like I had this conversation last time I was in Vegas about retail ethics and about how 30 years ago, like you never ever carried something that somebody carried down the street. You just didn't. You had ethics.
No.
And
Mhm.
now it's like this dog eat dog cutthroat thing. Like maybe you did have exclusivity, a zip code protection with something unfair, but then you weren't paying attention and ran out. And as the day it runs out, the guy two doors down grabs it.
Yeah.
It's like, wow.
Yeah.
Or like when I opened my store, it was primarily bath and body. That's my niche, right? I've been doing it forever, right? And so I do that. And like, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 years later, down on the same block, somebody opens the store and it's 75, 80% bath and body. I'm like, did you not even know I was here? Like, why did you think that was a good idea?
It's interesting. It's like, I mean, I always think in some sense competition is good.
Right.
But I think though the same thing is like people follow other people. She's doing a really good job. She's successful in it. We're going to do that too. And there's no thought in the sense of like maybe the way you are doing it, putting all this love into it, that's the reason why. And but I do think though there is competition is good. And I think in your case it just makes you shine more. I mean, it's like
Right.
honestly like and then that's I'm super competitive. It's really bad.
I'm right, just as bad. So I
I'm like
totally get it.
I'm the person standing there like, take this, like, check this out, like, no, like,
You're exactly the
it's
same.
actually gross. Like,
Right.
but I, I really like, I strive for that. I don't want to be the same as other stores in the area. I really want whoever I'm working for, showroom or retailer, I really want them to shine, and I really want them to look different than everybody else. And I kind of like when people start
Right.
to bring in same stuff, but I think that that's just it. That is definitely one of those things of like they're doing well, so I'm going to do it too, and
Well,
not have
so
the concept of why it's doing good.
there's kind of a twofold on that. First of all, we're such a small town. We only have 3 blocks, and maybe there's only 4 retail stores. So when there's only four and two are the same, it looks bad. I mean,
Yeah.
you got to have some more room there. And then the other thing, like you said, there's so much of that going on. Well, they're doing well. So I call that chasing the rabbit again. So then it's like, where's your identity here? Right? You just lost your identity. Like if you feel like you've lost your identity, go back to before you opened your store. What did you dream about then? Like that's your identity. What were you scribbling and making notes and taking, Pinterest board and all these different things? Like because I'll bet you anything it wasn't, well, I'll just see, I'm going to open the store and whoever's doing great, I'll just copy it. That's going to be my store. Like
Yeah.
it didn't start that way. So you run scared because different factors make business bad, but maybe it's that you're not doing those three things, the marketing, finance, and your thing, or maybe it's the things like, how's your window? What do you look like out up front?
Yeah.
What's the whole vibe when you come in? Do you got dead flies in your window? Maybe that's it.
I'm telling you, it's so that and okay, this has nothing to do with it, but that and mannequins that have broken fingers off. Good God, just and don't take the hand off because I see people that just take the hand off, and it's like, no, just spend, whatever it is and get a new mannequin
Right,
or order a new hand. But those are things that
right,
make me like insane.
right, right.
Do me a favor, talk to me about because you talk about the inside, the outside, and displays. Talk to me about when it's not a product-driven window, what did these look like?
So now this was kind of a combination of the two, I'll have to say. So one time I came back from Vegas, and this is in the later years, because then I kind of faded. I still have my Bath and Body, but I kind of was like, that's your thing, that's fine. I have other passions. Like mine is all about like I did so much stuff with plants. Like I made terrariums. Oh, I always had plants in the store, right?
Mm.
They were always maidenhair ferns. I'm big on ferns. They're all over the place. So I would make things out of that. I would go out in the forest. I mean, this is what I love to do. I would go out in the forest and I would find a piece of bark, or usually it's on a stump of an old tree, and I'm going like this to get it off. And the whole front is covered in moss, like
Ugh.
vibrant green moss. And then I would get like a staghorn fern and I would mount, how you see them mounted on
My
cork.
mom used to do that.
And I would mount those, and those would be hanging on the walls. And then, like from accent decor, I'd get these old rusty round wall pockets, and I make things of that. And so I made a lot of stuff. So anyway, I come back from Vegas and I looked for this stuff while I was there, and I got great stuff at Cash and Carry. And I wanted the theme to be to take your family off electronics and instead into nature.
Mm.
And so the whole window, like I can remember seeing like grandmas with their 10-year-old kids, like they're out there for 10 and 15 minutes looking at it. They're just like their eyes like this. And so I had moss and branches, and I got these moss covered mushrooms, right? And I have two sizes of those are around. And then like I have an amazing collection of birds' nests. And I've even got like an old hornet's nest. And so I
Wow.
bring that, I've got those in, and maybe there's a big thing. People bring me stuff too. I come to the store one day, and in front of it is this big knotted eucalyptus root thing. And I'm like, awesome, we'll put that somewhere.
Mm.
And so it had all of that, all this nature in it. And then I have these great little birds that I got from Floral Supply, and they look real, little birds. So they're perched kind of around here and there. And then at Cash and Carry, they had in just the cheap from China jewelry, right? Like everything's a couple bucks, right?
Yeah.
They had these little pins that were bugs. There's little beetles and bees and maybe a little salamander, and I'm tucking those in everywhere. And they
Mm.
weren't for sale, right? But people wanted to buy them. I was like, you're kidding me. That's like cheap junk. And then I had like a line I absolutely adore is June and December. Like I've carried them for years, and it's a much more nature inspired. Like I had an herbarium for them. They have flower presses. They have a little specimen kit with little vials and corks that you could put in your pocket and go collect great for little kids, like take them on a scavenger hunt in the forest, right?
Mm.
Sometimes I'll collect native seeds in those. So I had a couple products mixed in on how you could actually you do something in nature, but mostly it was just wow, this scene that you could. It's like, oh, look at there's something. Oh, and there's something.
Mm.
Everybody loved it.
I love that so much. It's funny you say the twigs with the moss. When we first got
Right.
here, we did a hike, and everywhere there's twigs and it's twigs with moss on them and beautiful it's what's crazy is that I'm walking through these hikes and I haven't really explored as much as I would like to. Hopefully that this season where we're off, we have a chance, but going through and picking up those sticks with moss, and I have one on my fireplace mantle, and I said to somebody, what kills me is that I was buying these from my favorite floral supply
Right.
in California market, floral market, which I love them because they brought everything out of Oregon, and they would do these moss boxes.
Oh,
So
I know. I've seen them.
big slab of moss and like dried mushrooms, and they're
Isn't
probably,
it fabulous?
oh my God. and it's like now I'm walking around through the forest and I'm like, oh my God, all the shit's everywhere. Like I'm like collecting it like, and it's funny because it's like that beauty. There's so much beauty in
There
natural
is.
items like that. It's like, and I think of your window and it's like, oh my
And
God.
so quite often, like the bark that I hung stuff from that, like I'm always getting bark, or I'll get a half a piece of like the bark of a tree is fallen off, so it's made like this big trough.
Mhm.
Maybe I just have bracelets in that. And then I'll have a slab laying down on a table or a shelf, and that's almost, and then I've draped necklaces over it. And as a backdrop, it's phenomenal, right? If it's silver, I saw a lot of things in a turquoise color, then that really pops on that.
Oh my
And then I'll
God.
have maybe a piece of driftwood. My son lives on the coast, and I always go looking for rocks and driftwood over there. And maybe I got bracelets all wrapped around that. And so the whole thing, that's why people come in and they're just like, wow, everywhere you look is, I mean, there's product, but there's all this other, and like that box with all the stuff, like those are my props. Like Accent Decor would have that kind of stuff too, the little mushroomy things. And so those are just, I might have something displayed on that, or like I did a thing in that turquoisey, like I could, everybody, regardless of your skin color, her hair color looks good in turquoise.
Mhm.
So it's always jewelry in that, scarves in that. And so then I would get like, again, Accent Decor, you could get a box. It wasn't real, but it looked like frosted aqua colored sea glass. I
Mm.
just took it to the store and did. And so I got that sprinkled around, and then there's the turquoisey stuff. I mean, again, you just start, there's your props to create this feeling, right? But it's
Yep.
nature. Nature is the feeling that I'm using to create that feeling,
That's
right? And
amazing.
we all identify with it.
I have two stories for you that, that are from foraging that I absolutely love. My background's anthropology. I was there for years. They're known for finding things, and we did the store opening for downtown San Francisco. And John was the then head of visuals, and like this is when the anthropology was very small. And John was a vision that I've never seen before that created things like out of his imagination, just blew my mind. Somewhere along the way, he found they had a tree had fallen and it had come out of the dirt, so it was all the roots. So he had gotten that out, cleaned it up. The San Francisco store, for those who remember, I think it was two stories. You walked in on the main level and then you went down to main quad, and then there's stairs down to the main part of the store. So when you're standing on the railing, you could see from the top, the second, third floor, whatever, all the way down to the first. He did a whole Dorothy's house in Wizard of Oz.
Wow.
So there was the root ball that went down from the second floor down to the first. It was
Wow.
connected to a house that went up to the third floor. It was so amazing. So my
Wow.
love with like roots and tree limbs.
Right, exactly.
So we
Yeah.
did fast forward to I was doing displays for a bikini shop and I wanted to do the tree limbs and it was for fall or something like that. So I had said to Crystal, who's my assistant at the time, like, come on, let's go. We're gonna go drive some. We were trying to source this in Orange County. And Orange County does have a pretty big park system. So we're driving somewhere. I'm like, look, right there, there's a tree down. So we pull over,
That's
we
my life.
we drag this tree limb into my car, and we're driving home. And she's like, God, I'm so itchy. What is this? Oh
Oh no.
my God. The thing was so full of ants. Like
Oh,
my entire car was filled with ants and they were all over us. And I was like, I remember
oh.
getting home, like I still want this damn tree limb. So I'm like ripping the tree limb out. She's spraying it with bug spray. I'm trying to get the ants out of my car, but these are some of the things you come across when you are
Right.
sourcing from from nature. But I'll never forget that. She's like, why am I so itchy? And then I just look over and it's just like
Oh.
ants are everywhere. I'm like, oh my
But
God.
now, before the ants, didn't you feel so great? Like you just scored the score of
Oh,
a lifetime, right?
it was huge and it was like dried out, which was perfect, which is why the ants
Right.
loved it as well. But I still say to people, if you're doing your windows, like, drive through alleys for dumpster diving and
Oh yeah.
walk through areas that are trees and wooded. You will always find or follow a landscaper. Those guys like tear down
Oh,
trees and they stack
right.
everything up because they put it
Right.
through the chipper. And I'll
Right.
literally pull behind, like, hey, can I grab a couple of tree limbs? They're like, yeah, like, sure, crazy lady, but yeah.
Right.
But
Right.
those, I mean, tree stumps are my favorite way to
Right.
display. Like, and those same thing, landscapers. I mean, the California floral market, there's people now that obviously with weddings and stuff do tree slices that are like really
Right.
thick tree slices,
Right.
anywhere from like
I
here.
use a lot of those.
I love those. And they're easy to find, but the easiest and least expensive is follow a landscaper. Or if
Right.
you have a landscaper, ask him, when you guys take down a tree, can you guys save me some? They look
Right.
at you like you're insane.
Right.
They're like, yeah, like sure, whatever. And it's
Right.
like free
Right.
and they're the best display pieces.
So now you got to think about a store that is using all this nature for their props versus one where everything is little plastic, clear plastic riser here and little, wire. You know what I mean? Like it's a completely different experience.
Hmm.
So
It's
I'm going to say I had a 90% conversion rate.
wow.
I know. But
That's
there are days when I hardly have any customers too. I mean, that's
that's
the problem.
unheard
Like
of.
it's a dying town. But if you do, I just feel like if you do it with love and it feels like love and I am artistic and creative. So that's like people come to me. I get people, I just want will you come make my house look like this? You know?
Mm.
And then I'm like, I'll post like, oh, let's make this. And be something I've seen online. Like, and they're like, oh, or here's an easy display for your Thanksgiving table. Or here's some napkins. Or I love to wrap. Like I
Are you doing
love
this
to
on
wrap.
TikTok or are you doing this on Reels?
I do this all on my Facebook page, my Emily's
Facebook.
Garden Facebook. So it's
That's
Emily's
why I
Garden
haven't seen it.
Quincy.
You need to get on Reels, please, or
Mhm.
TikTok.
I
I
know
know,
it's just not that important to me now.
but
I'm
it's
retired.
you're so good though.
I
Oh
may
my
teach.
God.
If I'm remodeling a house from the studs up by myself, so that takes
Wow.
my time right now.
You're actually physically doing the work?
Oh yeah, I've been working on it for a long time. I bought this old house for $30,000 15 years ago, so I could work out of it. But it was a dozer. I'm like, dozer, I can fix that. The woman who lived there before had numerous cats, two raccoons, and a deer living in the house. So I had to gut it to get rid of the smell.
A deer?
Yeah. I had to gut it to get rid of the smell, which was horrendous. And then it was just for work, right? So I gutted the kitchen except for the kitchen sink. I did my bottling in there. Like each room was full. Like I had a graphics room. I had another place where I did photography shoots for stuff. I mean, I had the sewing room with the industrial sewing machines and all that. So then I quit and now it's like, okay, now I'm trying to live on Social Security, which is impossible. So I need rental income. So I'm trying to turn it into a rental. Not to say that I haven't hired people like to do the siding, the electrical, the plumbing, but I insulated all, hung all the drywall. I'm doing an IKEA kitchen, so I've assembled all the cabinets. They're up. All the cabinets are up except for the peninsula. I'll probably this afternoon go and attach that to the floor, and I'm painting it too right now. And then I have to do all the flooring, and then I just have the laundry room left to do, and I'll be done.
Are you gonna live there or that's gonna be a rental?
It's tough because I have my heart and soul in
I was
it.
gonna say.
But this house is my garden. It's my view. Like I can dig down 4 feet and I'm black full of worms. And I'm sitting on a lake full of water with a well. I have not much water over there. The
Wow.
soil is terrible, horrible. So it's a really tough call. But
Wow. And
I'd
then
rather stay here. So I'll
if
probably rent it.
if it will it be Airbnb rental or will it be
Well, I could do so. What's floating in my head, because also I have a few outbuildings there. One is a 12 by 16. I call it my wreath room. And so, because I grow a lot of flowers at this house and I forage all the time, right? So that room's just got moss and cones and pods and dried flowers hanging everywhere. And so I
um,
make stuff in there. That's my messy room, right? And so what if I had an Airbnb that you could get an Airbnb experience where
yes.
I take you on a hike and we forage and we come back and make it? Or we come over here in the flower garden and I can teach you about organic gardening and
Oh my
biodiversity. And
God.
then we pick flowers and make an arrangement.
That is amazing. I could talk to you for days. Like it's just like you are this wealth of information and inspiration. And it's like honestly, like I could talk to you for hours. Like it is
So,
so
so
inspiring.
my sister-in-law who has passed away, she used to call me the grasshopper because I have a lot of passions. I want to do them all.
I mean, I have so much things that I love, but that's the one thing. It's funny. I've tried painting. I just can't, I'm not creative. I mean, I'm creative with what I create for other people visually for retail, and I'm a true merchandiser and designer. But when I sit in my own house and it's like you have time, it's like crochet or paint. It's like I don't know if it's
Well,
my
those aren't things that are exciting you, right? So
no.
you have to think about what excites you. And I have a lot of things that excite me. So I thought you were saying for a while that you were thinking maybe there's a chance you might open a store.
I am thinking about that, and I've been told several times, both by the universe and by other people, that I need to write this book about, it's a combination of how I ended up getting here, but it's not a life story because no one needs all that bullshit. But like all the little lessons that I've learned
Right.
in retail, like you should be writing.
Right.
Um, but it's I don't know. I know like they don't interest me. And it's like I listen to people like yourself and like how creative and all this inspiration. It's like I
But I
just
grew up this way. And like everybody in my family is an artist and a designer. My mom was unbelievably talented. So my brain thinks differently. Like I see beauty everywhere I look. Like I see the relationships of colors and textures. It's just how my brain works.
so let me ask you this, because we've been going an hour and 10 minutes now.
Sorry.
No, I love it. Like I said, like I could this is one of those conversations where I could just keep going on because you're talking not only about retail, but inspiration and like all the things that retailers
So
need to.
see how rich my life is?
Yes, I can see that. And it's so I guess my next question is now that you are relatively winding down, like what is the next thing you want to do?
Well, first I have to finish my house because that's taking up all my time right now. And then I can get back into loving my garden. Even though I'm about to start starting seeds, like I'll still grow a lot of flowers this year. So I get go in and out of do I want to teach?
Mm.
Like I put on a class before, I did a class one time for making paper flowers, right? And I'm just a stickler about having it perfect, right? I'm trying to get over perfect, but the done is better than perfect, but I still have issues with that. And so the prep work is phenomenal, right? It's like that's so much work for this. And everyone's like, you should teach a wreath class, you should teach a terrarium class, you should teach a floral design class, blah 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 blah. We all want to take it. We'll sign up right now. I was like, oh God, that sounds like so much work. But I would love to just have somebody come into the garden for a day
Mm.
and we do flat, like I want to build a pergola out there. And I've got this 360-degree view of like, I mean, it's $1 million view all the way around, right?
Wow.
And so we sit out there and we pick flowers and I do a demo and then you do some and we talk about it and that's not so much work if it's one-on-one.
Well, okay, so I'm going to throw something out to you. There's something called School, I think it's Skool, but there's so many teaching platforms that people can pay to take a class from all around the world, and it's basically you teaching someone. So you don't have a whole bunch of people, you're doing what you love, you've put
Right.
it out there, and it ends up being passive income. And I think for all of us who are this age that are like, what's next? Like I know for me, like what does passive income look like for me? And it's something that you need to do, I need to do. But that school thing or any of these online education, it's like the best. I mean, what you are teaching, you will have people all the time, and it's like teaching a one-on-one, and it's just
Right. So I'll have to cross that bridge when I get to it. Because for me, like I don't need a lot of money. Like I just don't really care. I've been so poor for so long. Like I'm used to. I just don't have extras. Like it doesn't matter to me really that much. So if I get my house done and I get the monthly income of that of renting it, or else I sell it and I try to make an investment and make money off that, then what is it? I've never slowed down before. Like what does that feel like? Maybe I would love it. Like I love just like my latest little thing that I've started learning is nature journaling. And
mm,
it's so good for me because you absolutely have to be in the present moment. Like you just have to get rid of everything else and you're out in some beautiful place and you have a little mini thing of watercolors. And I don't paint, but wow, it's fun. I like mixing the colors to try to match what I'm seeing. I think that's super fun. Like
mm,
get the perfect match. Um, and then you're painting what you see and you're asking questions about it. Like there's wildflowers, and you might do a little scene of the landscape, and then on the same page, there's maybe here's a wildflower I saw, or here's a little pine cone. So you're telling a little story, what your observation of the present moment of that one thing.
mm,
Like I need to slow my mind down, right?
yeah.
And so, and then painting, like I'm not very good at it, but good enough. And it's only for me personally. I love it. And same thing with my floral design. My floral design is my personal art. Like I grow all these flowers and I could do all kinds of stuff with them. But that is my sort of release. My like I get into the zone. I have a glass of wine. I put on some classical music. I go out on my deck and I always in the evening and I make this beautiful thing. And then I go photograph it because I love photography and try to hit the light right. And I get into that zone and it just is so beautiful.
Oh my God.
And so maybe, and to me, that why isn't retirement that? Why don't I just make that enough? And I love to cook too. So why don't
I mean,
I want to be more into food preservation and grow more of my own food. And
I
so
think
why isn't that
all of
enough?
this you should be doing. I mean, I hate to say it, but that social media, as much of a pain as it is, I think that you would have so many people following whatever it is you're doing that day. And because you
Right,
do so much,
right,
one day you're documenting, I'm
right.
out here. I mean, you are like, you are
I mean,
like,
look at this big old root and branch I found. What are we gonna
I
make?
mean, honestly, like I think about like how many people would follow you for inspiration and like, turning it into a paid platform.
Right,
And it doesn't have to be a big thing. I mean, that's the whole thing is just do it. And you're doing it every day. I mean, you're doing
right,
it every day and just put a camera, throw a
right,
tripod out and like film on your camera. It's like
right.
upload it and like I mean, out of all the people I've talked to that have all these different hobbies and whatnot, you are the one person that I could honestly say I could see going out there and just documenting everything you're doing and starting classes and people following you and seeing what you're doing and
Right.
creating, giving people a chance to create.
And that's so true if I was 10 years younger. But you're
Oh,
gonna
I don't
find
think
when you
you
get to
do.
be
No
yeah,
way.
like you're kind of like I need to slow down and declutter all the stuff because really your brain does start slowing down. Like it gets to where like and that was part a little bit on the store too. It's like I'm just go 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 constantly. I'm always thinking of that next display, what am I gonna make? It's just like constant, 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 constant. And you start aging and you're kind of like, ooh, that's like I gotta kind of thin that out a little bit. I need to slim it out. And so, like my dad lived to 96, right? He did everything himself. Up in the he mowed his own lawn, cooked, he did everything, right? He ended up
Wow.
having a stroke. But um, but he had his little routine, once he got into his 80s and 90s. And as long as he stayed in his, he didn't venture that much far out, he did fine taking care of himself. He remodeled his entire kitchen at 83.
Oh my God.
And he built a library with custom woodwork that, my dad could build anything. So here's my mom who's like totally talented artistically, and then my dad could make anything.
Wow. I do wonder what slowing down is going to look like for
Well,
you.
and your body, so that's the other thing. Like when I go work at my house, the hardest part of my house is my body.
Yeah.
Like I have 3 rooms to lay floor coming up when I'm done with the kitchen. And already I know how bad I'm gonna come home is like, where's the Advil? Because my body, I can't even I don't use these muscles anymore. You know,
You
like
you
you get old.
you need to make up your potions for nice long
Oh,
so
I do.
that
Oh,
are
I do.
are you're not doing any wholesale whatsoever
Nope.
anymore. You're
Mm-mm.
just
No.
oh my
I'm
God.
trying to eliminate all that. So I will say, like, and I always was closed for January at my store because, like, just like you in fourth quarter, like you're just go, 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 and I'm being creative the whole time, right?
Yeah.
And so I can't come back and don't expect me to be this huge creative thing, or I mean, I can't do it, right? And here's a really quick story. So a couple years ago, I'm off in January, and I got to open in about 2 weeks. And remember, the Vegas show isn't until like the last few days of
Yeah.
January, so I can't really get product there. And I'm like, I am in a creative block, just a complete creative block of what to do with my window. And I'm opening up and being closed, right? What am I going to do? I have absolutely no idea. One night I have this dream, and we have snow on the ground at the time. I have this dream that the snow on the ground, and I'm in my nightgown, and I'm out in the garden, and there's just flowers coming up everywhere. And there's butterflies. I mean, not that that's not, this is like my garden. There's butterflies and bees and dragonflies, and it's just this magical dream. And I wake up and I go, that's my window.
Mm.
And so I make my window like that. I collect antique Edwardian vintage nightgowns. So I put that on the dress form, and I bought this amazing line of silk flowers out of England where you got lupines and foxgloves this tall. I mean, they're just
Wow.
incredible, incredible line. And I did have that. And so those are everywhere. And then I got this, I think it was on Amazon. They're like sort of decal butterflies in all these different sizes, and you could stick them to the window. And then some hung from fishing line. And so it was just, and I think I might have had, oh, and I had like a straw bag or something. I can't remember the whole thing. Oh, I had an English garden trug that's sitting on a little table with flowers all in that. So that's my window. It was just a fantastic. And so again, I wasn't really selling anything. At that point, I bought the flowers as a prop. Later on, I did sell those. But it was just this magical window without product. That was just amazing. And
Well,
it
I
all
love
came
that
from a
it
dream.
came to you through a dream because I think a lot like I know I'll dream about things and like, oh, what about that? But a lot of times I can't remember them. So I love
Oh,
that
no, me too.
you. So what do you do? This will be my last question for you because I know you're
You know,
busy.
talk
I'm
forever.
loving like how much I'm hearing from you. How you talked about burnout and being so and being a creative that has burnout. Like how do you get re-inspired? How do you take care of you? And what does that look like?
Well, to get re-inspired, there's something I'm watching or whatever, right? So I just for the first time made sort of a new little product thing, a tiny little display at the store. And I wanted it to be about wintering because I've been reading a lot about that. Like, why do animals hibernate? Why do your trees lose all their leaves and, go through this time in winter? And it's because they're resting so they can have this rebirth in spring, right? Where they have to really come out and do all these big, huge things, right? And so I'm thinking about that. And so what does that mean to me? What is wintering to me? And I looked at it in two ways. I'm like, it's either sort of this fresh awakening that's going to come, or else it's this total cozy cocoon thing.
Mm.
So I built these two displays. They're two sort of cubes in different heights. And one of them is the fresh. And I was like, oh, I did do this a long time ago. I just haven't done it for a while. And so it's a white plastic cylinder bottle with a white label, really minimal text. The text is in an apple green, and that's called Clean. And it's unscented lotion. Like everything doesn't have to be scented, right? There's tons of people that can have that. And then next to it is Fresh, a spa mist. And this is like, I got something kind of similar to this before, where it's like a eucalyptus and mint, there's a little lavender and this new Rosalina Australian urban. And I like to have my towel hanging over my shower and I spray that first. And then the steam of that, and you feel like just like you're in this high-end spa. And so I'm making that and using it. It's nice on your linens too. But then I'm thinking, oh, this is like for a sports bag, right? This is for your husband that goes to the gym and he comes home and you're like, oh God, close that up. And so you could spray it in there, or maybe your yoga mat. So that's my sort of fresh awakening thing. The next to that, I knew I wanted it to look like this. It's all in amber glass. And the packaging's cream, the fonts are vintage, completely different from the other. And so that's the cocoon. And so I made this great coconut milk bath. And it's got like powdered honey, powdered eucalyptus, or not eucalyptus, powdered aloe vera,
Can I order
uh,
that?
clay. I don't know. I have to photograph it and put it on my thing. And then with that, I made a vanilla sugar scrub with real vanilla beans. Like I
Mm.
scraped the vanilla, and then I also got some vanilla powder. That's got a couple other ingredients. Then I let that sit for a while, so it picks up all that. And then so then you're in this just warm cocooning, You see what I mean? Like I was just inspired, and I was all inspired by wintering, and then the stuff. Then it grows on you. Well, how about that? And of course, there's stuff you start out with, and you're like, no, that's not good. Throw that out. And blah 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 blah. But then you go from there.
Do you split your day like I mean like what does your day look like? You get up and you do your thing. It's like I'm going to spend this time reading, you know.
Well, my
I-
day right now has a lot to do with my dog. So my dog, I always had a dog come to the store with me every day, always. And my dog is the most social dog you'll ever meet in your life. Like he just wants to meet, his name's Little Buddy. And he wants to be everybody's little buddy, right? So now we're home and he's so lonely.
Oh, I'm so
And
sorry
he
for
gets terrified of going in the car. And so I hike with him all the time. When I leave here, we'll go up the mountain. We'll probably do about a 4,000 step walk up. And these are old logging roads. I mean, we used to go on little deer trails, but I don't worry so much about bear, but I do worry about mountain lions. So I do carry a holster with a bear spray that goes 30 feet. So I usually do that. Like we always go behind my other house, we hike up there. So I always do, that's part of the day. And then they're like, all right, are you satisfied now? Can I leave you at home? Or I'll bring them with me. And then then we also have to go to town because you have to see everybody at the post office. And then I go and in the afternoon I spend working on my other house.
So do you have that moment of sitting?
No.
You
Well, maybe a little bit.
like
I'm
plan
trying to.
time of I'm gonna read, I'm gonna spend this time reading for an hour, and then I'm gonna
No, because I got too much going on.
you just
I have
kind
too
of
many
it
passions.
just follows into
Like
your day.
like I'm about to, I just got my bag of Pro Mix potting soil that I'm like super excited about. So tonight I'll probably start seeds. I'll start my whole, in my laundry, I have a big laundry room here. And I have a shelf unit with five shelves with grow lights. And then across from that, I have a potting table. And so I don't have a greenhouse. So that's in the wintertime. That's what keeps me happy. That's a big thing on my list is to get a greenhouse. And then I
Mm.
have something to do in the winter. So now I'll start all the flowers, not all of them, but ones that I can start early. So that's super exciting for me. So I just have something and then I like to cook and then I get ready for a meal I want to cook and I it's hard for me to slow down.
Wow. You are such an inspiration. I can't even tell you how much I've enjoyed this
Oh, I'm
conversation.
so glad.
It
Well,
feels
I have felt like we know each other. I actually have felt like if I lived near you, we would probably hang out.
100%. I'm like, I want to drive to your house because I'm in Bedford and I feel like I just drove through the Sierras. But I mean, I honestly like you talking to you is one of those things where it's inspiring to me, and it's like, oh, I mean, you just filled me up today. Thank
Oh, I'm
you.
so glad.
Like
That's
it's
good.
really
So I
true.
think that happened with my customers. There's the 90%, you know?
Yeah,
Like you come in there, it feels good. I treat people like I want somebody to come into my store as a stranger and leave as a friend.
I love
And
that.
so, and then that happens because I don't push the sale, right? I push get them talking about themselves. Like you'll never hear me say, well, let me know if I can answer any questions. Like that's just not in my thing.
The open-ended question. That's one thing I meant to circle back around, but your philosophy on friending, because friending your customers, because that was one of the things that always with my team at Fred Siegel was I loved that they were my friends first, and I didn't care if they bought anything, and it was just
Right.
to have them come in, you knew their name,
Right.
you
Exactly.
their dog, you knew how they went on vacation, how was it?
Right.
We'd pull things for them if they wanted. Like these
Right.
came in, I know you love this brand. They're here if you want them, whatever.
Right.
Like it was more about the relationship than it
Yeah.
was the sale. And I think
But
that
that is the shopping experience,
yes. And I
right?
think it's so missing now that
Totally.
if when people complain about Amazon and shopping here, it's like Amazon's never going to do this. And if you
Right.
just treat your customers like they are your friend and
Yeah.
family,
Right.
that is going to satisfy 90% of somebody wanting to go. They're still going to go on Amazon. I get all my
Right.
stuff on Amazon, but I would certainly, and I think your customers would certainly rather come in, see you,
And
visit.
have that chair that they can sit in.
I love that. God, thank you, Emily, so
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you.
I honestly can't. This was the best way for me to start recording again
Oh,
post.
good. Oh, I'm so glad.
So thank you.
All right. I look forward to watching your stories.
Oh, thank you.